Welcome back to a new video. In this workouts, I have two of them, day 5 and 6 I put together. I put them together for two different main reasons. One is to make the editing process a little bit more streamlined, a little bit faster, just to make sure I'm caught up and not too far spread out as far as the scheduling of uploads and whatnot. And because I always like to have them as close to when I actually do the workouts as possible. And the other reason is that on day 7 of this third week, I had a really interesting breakthrough, and I'll talk more about that in the training talk that will be out in tomorrow's video, and the workout that will be with that adjustment there. But it was something that I was reading in our textbook for my grad school class, and I was like, well, I might as well try to implement this to see if there's a positive effect. And there was a tremendous positive effect in many different ways, but it wasn't in these two workouts. And you'll see I had some misses, had some struggles. Especially on this day, I missed 100 a bunch of times, which was really obnoxious, and I was able to weigh it back down to 90, back up to 100 and make it, and then missed 110 and made 110, so had snatches all over the place. And I think a lot of my struggles now are not even related to my shoulder and being achy and the mobility of it. It's just mentally not being able to make that adjustment to just commit to catching the weights in the proper spots, because when I'm doing the light weights, I don't have that mental block, and I just do them fine, and they look really easy, and they look like I'm catching it in the correct spot like 99% of the time. I say that as that 80 looked kind of stinky, but the general trend has been true that like up to like 90 kilos, I could just do those weights all day without really any issue, and I'm catching it in the right spot, and I'm catching the bounce at the bottom. Everything feels good with them. And then once I get above that, then I start getting into my head too much, because it's not as if when I'm looking at the videos of them, they look really that difficult, or the weights look really difficult. I'm still putting it in the right spot. I still have plenty of space to catch it from the bottom, and I'm just getting into my head too much. And that's certainly something that is going to be improving, I hope. But in the day 7 is something that changed in a very positive way. But here's all my misses with 100. I missed it like 4 times or whatever, and then I went back down to 90, back up, like I said. After doing all these snatches, I only did 3 clean jerks. I went from 60 to 110 to 140. The 140 felt pretty heavy, but it was a pretty big jump, and it was pretty weird jumps, but I was just kind of tired at that point. And the goal on a day 5 like today is to do some snatching clean jerking, but not necessarily to go to maximum anything. So if I'm able to get to 110 and 140, that's kind of what I would like to do. And that's also something programming wise that will probably change. Maybe not next week, but maybe the week after. But since next week is the 4th week and it's going to be kind of a deload, I'm looking at changing some of the exercises. If you've looked at my community posts, I wrote a program for my friend. And so if you click the link that's in the community post, it will make a copy of the Google Sheets that you can look at yourself if you want to look at. It's an 8-week program that's 4 days a week, since that's what he wanted to do. Had the 4 days a week, and I kind of based it off what I was writing for myself for a potential next block. But the idea of the next block is just to do more overhead squats, essentially. I was looking at Seek Strength, and I got one of their trials and was just looking through one of their programs, and I was like, yeah, kind of like the logical progression that they had made sense. But one of the main things, 2 main things I kind of saw from them was just a lot of overhead squats, which logically makes sense if you have bad overhead strength like I do. And also kind of having snatches and clean jerks separate, and having like progressions of a snatch exercise, snatch pulls, and then squats, and the next day having some sort of cleaning exercise that leads to heavier ones and stuff like that. So just spreading things out more like that, so not necessarily doing a snatch and a clean jerk on every day, and perhaps having a snatch and a back squat on a day, and then adjust things. But I took some inspiration from that, mostly with just the overhead squats, and then splitting the snatch and clean jerks, which isn't really that radical of a thing. Obviously, that's something that a lot of programs will do. But the overhead squats is something I want to emphasize a lot, because I think that will just be good to do, and it will also help me build the confidence of my overhead position, and it will kind of add to all the snatch push presses that I had been doing. I've kind of dialed those back because I've realized that those were actually impacting my squats pretty significantly, because they were getting pretty heavy, and the re-racks were actually fatiguing me to the point where I wasn't necessarily like squatting poorly, but I wasn't hitting the numbers that I want or progressing them at the rate that I wanted to. And I think doing more overhead squats is probably just going to be better in general. Obviously, the full range of motion in that regard, and doing like a snatch plus an overhead squat is something that will probably be pretty decent. I've actually, my best just straight overhead squat, so I've increased my snatch balance, if you want to call it that, where I'm getting some whip on the bar and, you know, pushing under it. But like my straight just overhead squat is still 135, I believe. And it depends, like I said, if you want to call my snatch balance an overhead squat, but like where I'm literally just standing with the bar up and then squatting all the way down and up, I actually did after a snatch with 135 off the high blocks, which is still hilarious to me to think about. But this is the, as you see with the gray sweatshirt, this is on the second day. So you see I was able to get up to 115, and then this 120 was really frustrating. I basically made it and just drifted. You see like there, stabilize it, and then just drifts too far forward. And that's just a shoulder strength thing. It just wants to go too far forward, and by this point I was too tired, and you see there it just smashed and didn't have a chance. Clean jerks went decent, got up to 145, and then missed 155 twice. The second jerk I just clarked, just too fatigued at that point, and quite interesting what you'll see in the next session. If you follow me on Instagram, you kind of see some of those lifts, but that, or if you follow on the shorts side of YouTube on my side or on my page, you'll see some of those lifts a little bit early. But I'll talk more about, you know, programming changes. I suppose you'll kind of see that as the next week progresses, because I'll be trying to implement some of the exercises. The general idea of the weeks are going to be the same, but probably have some different exercise selections. So maybe not no foot snatches, maybe snatch plus overhead squat, or just more focus on the overhead portion of it. Just developing that and really building the confidence, but also kind of probably the mobility as well, because I've been working a lot on that shoulder and it's been improving still. But I kind of want it to be as 100% as possible, and then, you know, over 100% because I want to get stronger. These are the 155 attempts. You see this one, just missed the jerk. Honestly, if I would have tried harder, I probably would have got it. I definitely had enough strength to do it. On this second one, I was just too fatigued, and once I stood it up, I was like, there's just no way. And you know, I could blame the heat and stuff. It was hot, but I also lifted well the day after this, and it was really hot. And as you saw, like, I lifted pretty heavy on this day, so there's definitely adjustments you can make that are outside just, you know, programming, and that's something that I'll talk about in the next video. So look forward to that, and I look forward to sharing that with you all, and hopefully you enjoy it as well. But I'll talk to you all in that one, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.